saying, God, I can't live like this. So I put down the credit card and start acting out in the rooms. Can't go to that meeting again. I love it. There's 400 12-step programs. They're all identical except for the first half of step 1. And my experience is it's so easy for me to play musical poisons in the first half of step 1 and never really address the problem. And I did that over and over again. And what my book says is that when we straighten out spiritually, we straighten out mentally and physically. So I love it. You come into AA and you got all these other things going on. You've got alcoholics, then you got alcoholic addicts, then you got addict alcoholics. They're somehow different, right? Of course, you got the dope fiends in the back. They're worse than all of us. And my experience with AA today is that if we don't have a common problem, we don't have a common solution. Alcohol. My mind always takes me back to drinking. Self-knowledge. You notice at the end of these meetings, they don't say, keep coming back. It works if you know it. It says works if you work it. And my experience is that these principles, it is only through application and practice that I become spiritually fit. Thinking it through doesn't work for a guy like me. I love it when they say, just play the tape through. I love that. I'm driving my brand new car down the freeway past Skid Row, and I play the tape through to the cardboard box, the dumpster. And you know, my head tells me, oh, Skid Row wasn't that bad. Toothless Honey, I can make it on Skid Row. That's insanity, you know. Normal people don't laugh at that. Think about it. I always thought insanity was doing the same thing and expecting different results. Isn't that what you hear in AA? That's not the insanity I live with. I have a completely different brand of insanity. It's doing the same thing, knowing exactly what's going to happen and what? Doing it anyway. Come on, at least the other kind of insanity, doing the same thing and expecting different results, at least there's some hope there. But I know exactly what's going to happen and I do it anyway, which points back to what it really means to have lost the power of choice. Now, I don't want to offend anybody tonight, but you know, for me to pick up a drink's kind of like having sex with a gorilla. Oh, honey, if you have sex with a gorilla, it's not over until the gorilla says it's over. I know, you get that gorilla back in the cage, it starts looking at you again with those loving eyes. Remember how it used to be? Just being you? Promise I won't tell anybody. We're in Mexico. It's awful. But that's the way my mind works on me. Delusion. You know, it reminds me of this guy. He gets a rifle for his birthday. And his lifelong ambition, he's a hunter, he always wanted to go to Alaska, to the tundra, and shoot a polar bear. He's a hunter. So he goes up, he flies up to the tundra, he's got this brand new rifle he got for his birthday. He sees this bear, he takes his shot, and he goes over to look at his kill, and there's a tap on his shoulder. It's a bigger polar bear looking down at him. Yeah, the bear says, you just shot my son. You got two choices. Either let me have my way with you, or I'm going to maul you to death. So a couple weeks later, he's in the hospital healing up. Now he's got a resentment. So he gets better. He goes back up to where the bear is. He's going to get this bear. So he goes to the exact same spot. He sees the bear. He takes his shot. Goes over to check out his kill. Tap on his shoulder. Bigger polar bear looking down at him. The bear says, hey, you just shot my uncle. You get two choices. Either let me have my way with you, or I'm going to maul you to death. Back in the hospital, healing up again. Another resentment. Now this goes on for years. Back and forth. Back and forth. Finally, he's up there, back in the tundra. He sees the bear. It's the one. He takes his shot. He goes over to check out his kill. Tap on his shoulder. It's the king of the polar bears looking down at him. And the bear says, you know, we've been watching you. You're not really up here for the hunting, are you? It's a little graphic. But But if you read the Jaywalker in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, it's really not that far-fetched. See, all of my life I was driven. I was driven by selfishness. I was driven by dishonesty. I was driven by fear. By resentment. And I look at that today. It's like, you know, when they drive cattle, it's an interesting word. You ever see the 4 horsemen that drive a herd of cattle? If you're in the middle of that herd, you don't know you're being driven. But you know where cattle's driven, right? It's driven to the slaughterhouse. And all of my life I lived in that delusion. And it's so obvious today. It's so classic. You know, I knew he was a crackhead. I can't believe he robbed my house. Right? I met her in rehab. I can't believe she drank. I mean, the delusion that I live with. The faulty relationship with this power based on self-reliance. The resentment that drives me to a state of spiritual maladjustment that I have only one choice: to drink. And unless I can find something to solve that spiritual problem, I'm doomed. My mind will always take me back to a drink. And eventually I had to really see that, you know, when I was talking about it earlier, this body that can't process alcohol, this mind that can't process reality, you know, a lot of people come into AA. I've seen people that I drank with. You know, the doctor's opinion talks about the thing that ties us together is the phenomenon of craving. But a lot of people come into AA, and as soon as they put that drink down, you know, they fit in. I mean, you hear it in chapter 5. Every time we read chapter 5, we talk about our personal adventures before and after. Make clear 3 pertinent ideas, right? A, that I'm an alcoholic and I can't manage my life. B, that probably no human power can relieve my alcoholism. And C, that God couldn't, would have sought. And I'm thinking, before and after what? But for me as an alcoholic, it's before and after I put down a drink. The problem drinker comes into AA and thinks the second half of step 1 is because of his drinking. If that's true, stop drinking. And a lot of people, like I said, come into AA, and as soon as they put down the drink, everything works for them. They fit in, they're part of, the career welcomes them back, they come to meetings once a year, never work a step, and their life gets consistently better. Right? They've been serene since their ass hit the seat in AA. That's not my experience. My experience, every time I put the drink down, the first thing they say to me is, "Boy, you need to be on medication." My goodness, why are you so angry? What's wrong with you? Why are you so emotional? Why can't you sit still back there? And I'm crying at dog food commercials. Right? Think about it. When I'm not drinking, I have a whole nother set of problems. They're outlined on page 52 of the big book. When I'm not drinking, I'm a prey to misery and depression. When I'm not drinking, I can't control my emotional nature. When I'm not drinking, I can't manage my personal relationships. Sound familiar? When I'm not drinking, I'm of no use to other people. When I'm not drinking, I'm full of fear. When I'm not drinking, I'm basically unhappy. And the way that plays out for me in untreated alcoholism is I don't fit in, I'm not part of, you don't understand me, everybody's in my way, life's not fair, they're not treating me right, I'm not appreciated, they're not paying me enough for goodness sake, she's cheating on me, I gotta drink. Oh yeah, and something magic happens. I pick up a cocktail and I intuitively know how to handle situations that used to baffle me. Think about it. You give me a couple more drinks, fear of people and economic insecurity leave me, I'm buying the whole bar drinks. Hell, I'll write you a check. Not only are you getting better looking, honey, I'm getting better looking. Right? Come on, you give me a couple of Vicodin, I can comprehend the word serenity, and I know peace. Give me a little cocaine, I want to start a business with you. Now, if you're laughing at any of that, there's something really wrong with you guys. Because that doesn't occur in the normal or temperate drinker. Think about it. Alcohol is classified by the AMA as a depressant. 9 out of 10 people that pick up a drink, they have a couple drinks and they say, whoa, I gotta slow down. I'm feeling it. I have a couple drinks and baby, I want to get married. A couple more, I want to go to Vegas. You give me a couple drinks, I'm trying to find the car keys I hid from myself before the first drink. See, for me, alcohol's a stimulant. And that's what makes me bodily and mentally different. It's not how much I drink or how often I drink, but the effect produced by alcohol in me is so elusive, I can't tell you the true from the false. In fact, it does so much for me, I don't care what it's doing to me. And that's what the earth people don't understand about us. Because they don't have the same effect produced by alcohol. It doesn't have that magic hold on them that makes them clairvoyant and intuitive. And they say stuff like, "You drank again? We're surprised when you didn't." At some point, looking at the promises, what I did is I suddenly realized that alcohol had done for me what I could not do for myself. And what the promises really say at the end of the promises, it says, we suddenly realized that God could do for us what we could not do for ourselves. Didn't some of us suddenly realize that booze had done for us what we could not do for ourselves? Because if that's really true, then there's a relationship between God and alcohol. And you can see it by substitution in the promises. If you get into the ghettos in this country where everything's been burned to the ground, there's only two things that stick out: churches and liquor stores. You know why? Because they both give man hope. And if you're like me, hope doesn't matter to someone like me until I become hopeless. Hope doesn't matter to a drunk like me until I burn my life to the ground. Until I get to a place of complete failure of all of my resources. You know, that's why we say from Yale to jail, from Park Avenue to Park Bench, it doesn't matter. When I got to that place where my head couldn't get enough and my body couldn't take anymore, then I had those two choices. Go on to the bitter end or accept spiritual help. And you know, and that's like a no-brainer. If you go over to your local Walmart and you do a survey, jails, institutions, and death, happy, joyous, and free.